Close call for our Newsmax correspondent after almost being caught in the crossfire in Ukraine. Our senior correspondent John Huddy is on the ground for us in Ukraine to tell us about that experience. John.
Well, Kimberly, yeah, it was a very close call. In fact, it was so close that we heard the tank round literally whistling by and hitting its target probably within 50 to 75 yards of our location. We were in a village, a town just about 30 miles southeast of where I am right now, Zaporizhia. We had been in this town earlier this week talking to evacuees about being on the front lines of the fighting between Russian and Ukrainian forces there. And we went into the town to interview doctors and nurses and people in a medical unit, basically one of these frontline medical hospitals, when there was incoming fire. And essentially it was representative of the ongoing battle, the significant fighting that's happening in these regions to the south of Zaporizhia. Not only this village, but several others that we visited basically over the past week. And we were there. I was there with our colleague, Jim Lechner, and our team, our photographer, Ayub, and our fixer and translator, Alexei. We were at this medical station, and literally as soon as we got there, there was a tremendous amount of fire, incoming cannon fire, artillery fire, and then we heard the ground forces. And basically what was happening was that Russian units and Russian forces, probably within 1,000 yards to about 2,000 yards, were trying to not only push in, but put pressure on those Ukrainian lines. And it's really representative of the fighting that we're seeing in this region and also in the east, in the Donbass region, Donetsk, Luhansk. Intensive, fierce fighting that's happening right now. Kramatorsk, which is a city in the east, is coming under intense bombardment, along with the western part of the country, Odessa. You had mentioned it in the intro. This is a city, basically a southern port city in the western part of the country that's also coming under intense Russian bombardment. The reason, there's a lot of infrastructure there. There's a lot of military infrastructure. There's a lot of fuel depots. And speaking of which, gas, there's a major gas shortage in Ukraine right now. In fact, you can really only get gas if you have some kind of military or government approval to do so. So it's really becoming limited as far as getting around and the ability to get through the country and from one side to the other. So this is all part and parcel of the ongoing fight and the battle that we're seeing not only in the south but in the eastern region as well. Back to you.
John, we're incredibly grateful that you and our team are safe. But what does this tell you about how quickly things are changing and how quickly things are shifting when it comes to this ground offensive?
Well, it tells me a couple things. First of all, the Russian forces are trying to, and also in Mariupol, I didn't mention Mariupol, this is an important point. The fighting continues in the Azovstal steel factory there, where really the last contingent of Ukrainian fighters, the Azov brigade fighters, are still holding down and hunkering down that fortress. But also we're learning that Russian forces have kind of regrouped and pulled north and redeployed to the northern part of that area, which is what we're seeing now, the fighting that's just happening south of us. And then also in the eastern region, they're really trying to take and hit the Donbass very, very hard. They were trying to, and we saw about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, we were in Kharkiv, and we saw the intensive artillery campaign that was happening there. Well, Ukrainian forces were able to launch a counteroffensive and retook some of those key villages outside of Kharkiv. But the concern is that going into the next 24 to 48 hours, Russia will try to increase its bombardment, increase its ground and aerial campaign to try to secure some kind of victory before Victory Day, which is Monday in Russia.
John, as always, we appreciate the personal risk that you take bringing this story and keeping it in the national and international spotlight. Thank you for that update.